Please be seated. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you graduates of the Professional Doctorate in Engineering program Software Technology. Also, I would like to welcome family, friends, colleagues and supervisors to this PDEng Diploma Awards ceremony of the Eindhoven University of Technology, or briefly the TUE. Today we are proud to award 19 trainees from this technological designers programs their PDEng diploma, a professional doctorate in engineering. Currently, there are 11 technological designers or PDEng programs at the TUE, 4 at Delft University of Technology and 4 at Twente University. The PDEng programs have been around for more than 30 years. And today, TU Delft, University Twente and the TUE have already trained more than 4,000 technological designers. The PDEng programs have been created in close cooperation with industry. They respond to the current needs of the high-tech sector. We train the best young engineers. The selection of the trainees is tough. An important task for these engineers is innovation or knowledge valorization. How to best transfer knowledge into value. While pure researchers are driven by curiosity and want to understand or predict phenomena, the real engineers want to create value by means of the creation of new and innovative artifacts. That is exactly what the technological designers programs are about and what our today new PDEng graduates have accomplished during their 2-year program in industry. As of today, you may use the degree Professional Doctorate in Engineering or PDEng. The PDEng degree gives these designers an important advantage in industry. The extra knowledge and experience these PDEng candidates have acquired usually can only be gained after a number of years working in a company. We wish our new graduates a lot of success in their future careers. I also want to provide a special thank you to our partners in high-tech industry. The second-year design projects conducted by our PDEng trainees are proposed by the high-tech industry, and it is the industry's urgent need for innovation and design engineers who are not afraid to go beyond boundaries of disciplines that provide our PDEng trainees the opportunity to learn and earn during these challenged second-year design projects. Before the ceremony begins, first a brief explanation on the protocol. First, a supervisor from university or industry will provide a short introduction on the graduate, an abstract on their thesis, and will then hand over the diploma. Additionally, the graduate receives an alumni gift offered by the TUE, because as of today, these graduates are officially alumni of the Eindhoven University of Technology. The TUE wants to give her graduates an alumni gift that says, proud to be from the TUE. This gift, a clean-cut design tube for your PDEng diploma, is inspired by the eye-catching right slash in the TUE logo. Once all of our graduates have received their diploma, the speakers and the graduates will have their picture taken. Afterwards, we will join you in the Voorhof while we conclude the ceremony with reception where drinks will be served and there is an opportunity to congratulate and socialize. I will now start with our first candidate, Anita Asprovkaska, who will be addressed by Cifuentes Costa.
First, congratulations to all of you. Software changes and evolves, it's its nature, and frequently a small detail grows into a full feature. Then it's necessary to take it aside, give it a space and a new structure to grow. On large systems like in ASML, architecture, structure, keeping the software sane is crucial to allow innovation. And taking care of small details is our business. And that's where Anita joined our efforts, to work on the new design, new architecture of a small detail growing into a full feature. She was confronted with a good amount of new knowledge and new architecture, design patterns, tools, techniques, and she managed to swim on all that flood of information. From the beginning, she showed a very high organizational skills, took charge of the project structure, gathering the experts' knowledge, finding the stakeholders, setting the scope boundaries. At some point, she was more a project lead than a student. I remember a point at the beginning when she was still making sense of all that information, which was not ideally organized on our side. And she came up with a domain diagram and map of the information she had gathered so far. When I saw it, I felt reassured because she was creating something quite similar to the outcome of one of our other projects. That means that we were modeling on the other project things correctly, because it was understood by some other people, but at the same time I feel a bit troubled because it took us quite more time than Anita to realize that kind of design. So thank you, Anita. We did our best. We were not able to scale you, and we welcome you now to ASML for the next years. Congratulations. And well.
I call forward Solaya Ayele and will be addressed by Dr. Faffen.
Soli, well, I can almost thank you because apparently now I have a doctor's title, so that's always good to know, apparently. Well, this is actually the picture that you have to remember of Soli, the smile plastered on her face all day long, even if something goes wrong or something's troublesome or something like that. Smile plastered on her face, and she uses it to convince supervisors and stakeholders alike. It was really fun. Even the difficult ones, by just being you actually got them to, in the end, actually understand what you were doing and really, get them really enthusiastic for your project. And that was really cool to see. I really enjoyed working with you, the energy you had, and it was really nice to see that you actually fit into both teams. You actually kind of were a bit in between two teams. And you actually fit into both, even in the team that I'm currently in, which has, let's say, a bit of a sarcastic way of humor, but apparently you have the same, so that's good. If you look at Soli, you see her hair. Something's very interesting about her hair. It's not just that it looks different all the time, it's also a great hiding place for stuff. So you can hide pens in it, a lot. I don't know what else she had in it, maybe even post-it notes somewhere plugged into it, but that way she always came prepared, and if she didn't have something, it was probably in her hair. Glasses, everything. It was really a pleasure working with you. I wish you a lot of success in your new company. It's a shame you didn't stay. But Venlo is not so close, you now know that, so who knows?
Ms. Lavanya Balasubramanya, addressed by Engineer Van Heyen.
Hi, Lavanya. You started at ASML on an assignment to make a proof of concept for code generation from MATLAB algorithms that were created by physicists. And we at ASML, as software engineers, wanted to get rid of the tedious manual translation of MATLAB algorithms into manual C code. And you showed that this is feasible, and that is very nice, and still this was feasible with limited impact on the code of the algorithm, such that the physicists could still recognize their code. That's very nice. But yeah, that's not everything, because when code generation is there, then still this code needed a landing spot in the current ASML architecture, which has almost 30 years of legacy, and is not always that well documented, and you had to struggle your way in to find out, how does this currently work, how is this built up, and how can you decouple control data and the algorithms, such that you could insert the code that is generated. So this was challenging, but yeah, such an assignment for the PDEng is supposed to be challenging. And you did everything yourself. You found the stakeholders, and that you did very well. And you left actually only a very difficult question for me. And that was, do you have some feedback on my presentation? And then I started thinking, is there any feedback I can give? There was a good storyline, there were clear slides, so I was thinking, and there was one thing. That was the speed of your presentations. This lady is Speedy Gonzalez when she presents. She can do 20 slides in 10 minutes. It's actually an art, but it makes the audience sometimes a bit flabbergasted. So yeah, we gave some feedback that maybe if you slow down a bit, then the audience can process all the information that you were throwing at them. And luckily in your final presentations you did, and you received a lot of compliments on that. So yeah, you did that very well. You organized also, you were also a very good organizer, organizing stakeholder meetings, work your way around a test setup which is not working well, and that other people had to fix first. But yeah, so your most outstanding achievement was actually your planning and yeah, all in all, deliver all the planned activities in time, which is far from trivial in ASML. So yeah, I'm very happy actually that you will join ASML also in the team where you worked. So good luck with that starting in November. Yeah, and a lot of congratulations also with the high marks that you received. So I can. Congratulations. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Ching Chai, addressed by Dr. Denissen.
Hi, Chin. The last 8 months, you have been working on the design and application of non-intrusive interceptors, which, when you started with, you probably didn't have any idea what it was talking about, but you soon learned. ASML gave you a pattern to intercept a system under test without changing it. So that was really a requirement. You should not change the production code. And your assignment was to find out whether interception works and to which extent. In the beginning, you were very quick in learning the problem and producing the results of your first successful experiment. Later on, more experiments were defined and also proved to be successful. However, the documentation was lagging behind. Because ASML was really interested in your findings, and your experiments even within ASML were not standard, it needed to be clearly documented. With some support, you got the documentation right. Your ASML internal presentation was well attended and resulted in interesting and good questions. In the meantime, You managed to travel within Europe and the USA to broaden your scope and also found a job at TomTom. Congratulations. And I, in the meantime, tried to pronounce your name correctly. And I apologize if it's still not correct. Chin, that's correct. You're a fine person to work with. You're open in your communication and you're eager to learn. Yeah. Nice to have you met. But finally, and the most important part for you, is that your work has been awarded with the Professional Doctorate in Engineering. Chin, congratulations and all the good luck in your further career.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the next is Mr. Wei Cheng Chen, addressed by Engineer Visser.
Thank you. Wei Cheng, for the last 10 months, you've worked at Hendrix Genetics. And I believe that company requires a bit of explanation because it might be unknown. Hendrix Genetics is a multi-species animal breeding company. And our portfolio ranges from salmon to laying hens to nowadays even insects. And we're also a market leader. So if you eat an egg anywhere in the world, there is a 50% chance that it originated from our genetic lines. But our industry faces a challenge. In a recent report by McKinsey, they looked at the digitalization and the technology uptake of 25 industries. And agriculture, our industry, was ranked 25. So we have a big challenge, especially if you consider that our industry is responsible for feeding the world. We will be 10 billion people by 2050. So we need to become more efficient. We need to start making changes. And we started with Wei Cheng. Wei Cheng has looked at, he has built a production data platform for our laying hens. And a laying hen starts out as a fertilized egg, is then put in a setter, a hatcher, and is then transported by plane or truck to our customers. And during that whole process, there are lots of machines and systems that create data for this whole process. But all these systems are not standardized, and they are from different manufacturers. So it's really difficult to get an overview. And Wei Cheng has created a data platform for the laying hen production systems to be able to not only store the data in a central place in the cloud, but also to be able to integrate, to link data sets in order for us to get insights across the whole production chain. So if you change something at the start, we could evaluate what the impact would be at our customers. And that's very valuable. So we knew Wei Cheng had a solid technical background, but where he really exceeded was in the way the speed with which he understood the domain knowledge of laying hens. He was very proactive, and he was always talking to the right stakeholders to understand their needs, completely outside of his field, to understand their needs and to actually make sure the system, the production platform, had the right requirements. So that was really unexpected. So thank you, Wei Cheng, for your contribution to our company. You're going to be the start of widespread adoption of cloud-based, data-driven data integration at our company. Thank you.
And Ms. Mungtuya Dashniam is addressed by Engineer Klabbers.
Thank you. Apologies, this year there's no movie from my side. But I will talk about the about a movie. And that's actually referring to the title of your thesis, Mugi. We're very happy to have a simplified version of your name, Mugi, which is much easier for me to pronounce and to remember. The title is RoboCoach, a scalable solution to support teachers and students using email and chatbot. The actual name RoboCoach is derived from the RoboCop movie from Paul Verhoeven, wherein a human police cop, Murphy, is actually injured, and well, there's gruesome details, and actually his brain is implanted in a human android. But that's not where the similarity is. Like the project, this movie was starting with all kind of artificial intelligence solutions, and it's not working. And then there's suddenly this RoboCop, and he really kicks ass, and well, but he also gets trouble with his human conscience. So similarly, Mugi started off really focusing on artificial intelligence, really trying to get all the details, following courses of Andrew Ng, and trying to get all the essence out of that to apply that to the chatbot. But well, not finding any data, not finding any the right application for that. She also got frustrated and started actually something that was called the email notifier, email notification program to alert students to progress after a time of non-activity. Simple, but very effective. But she wanted more. And well, that's actually what characterizes you. You have a very strong inner core, which is very focused on getting a result, and you wanted to have something that included AI, and AI came back in the form of Watson, but then to use as an intelligence assistance in an ecosystem between teachers and students, slowly learning and taking over the simple task of teachers without bothering these teachers. And that's also how RoboCop ended, with a human touch, with human control. Today I did not get a notification of this happening. My calendar took over my life, and I lost control for a moment. Luckily there are other people that are notifying me, and that's actually the main lesson. Tools are not there to control us, but we should control and receive added value from those tools. They should extend our abilities. And Mugi gave a good demonstration of how to achieve that in her project. So making use and able to control these tools, that's the whole aim. And I'm sure that you will be able to do that, and actually we have extended your contract and hope to extend it a bit more. You will be able to help others to achieve actually the same thing in extending their abilities. And maybe a tool that could warn me for wearing the right suit, like a dark one, that would be a very good one as well.
Next, Mrs. Bulgan Chimek and Taiwan will be addressed by Professor Jacob de Vlieg.
Hi, Bilga. It's really a pleasure to give this speech. And I'm giving this speech also on behalf of George Fletcher, who was also one of your supervisors. And maybe it's good to give some background about this topic, because it's actually new for this university. What we see is that the agricultural systems and food production systems are under pressure, and they are facing several major challenges, and that's about growing world population, climate change, and decrease of available arable land per person, and a lot of issues with energy and water and so on. And at the same time, the food production has to be increased by 70%, 70%, to feed 9 billion, maybe 10 billion people in 2050. So a lot of pressure. And moreover, it has to be done in a sustainable way. And that means that you have to reduce the environmental footprint. You're reducing the use of pesticides, for instance. And precision farming is one of the answers for solving this problem. In fact, it's about creating a bridge between traditional farming and high-tech. And high-tech can be robotics, it can be sensors based on photonics technologies developed here as well. It can be data, it can be about satellites. And this can help to increase farming considerably and solve these problems. But there's also a big problem associated with that. All these systems, all these sensors, all these satellites, etc., they produce enormous amounts of data. And that's exactly where Bilga stepped in. She developed an information system for precision farming to collect all this data, to manage all this data, to make it analyzable by machine learning and other technologies. And this technology has a lot of interest, because already now CBS, Central Bureau of Statistics, scientists of CBS already using the system of Bilga. Wageningen University and Research are making use of it or want to have access to it. So she did a great job, and the reason was also that she developed a completely, let's say, a very modern software engineering architecture. But it's not only the reason that she did a great job technically. Bilga was also able to explain this DIPA in a very good way. She gave a presentation on an event with more than 600 participants, and she did a great job on that. But there was also a lot of one-to-ones, and actually there was a queue, a waiting list to talk to Bilga. From companies, from universities, from Radboud University, all wanted to talk to Bilga. It was so bad that we had to bring some food during lunchtime, because otherwise she would have fallen down. And she was not able to come there, to go to the food. So, Bilga, I realized it was really very hard for you in the beginning. It is a completely new topic, a lot of unknowns, a lot of pioneering. But you never gave up, and you delivered. You really created a very important system, which is the basis of new development again. So I'm very happy for that. I know that you got a very good job at bol.com, but if you want to come back to precision farming to save the world, very welcome. Congratulations. Well done. Let's do this like this. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dimtro Kondrasov will be addressed by Dr. Potoček.
Good afternoon to everybody, and to especially. First, I have to apologize for Remco Schumacher, who was the supervisor for you. And because of he had to leave yesterday, so I'm replacement for him, pure replacement. We know that the computers are in software engineering influencing our life in many areas, and especially in the research area which our company is dealing with. in electron microscopy. And Dima's project was especially assigned for this area. That project was really experimental and research-oriented in order to bring the latest technologies related even to AI down to the electron microscope in order that we can evaluate the benefits and, of course, the negatives of such functionality on the microscopes. In that way, he had to cross his narrow knowledge about the software engineering and start to get the knowledge even about some other domains like electron microscopy, cloud computing, the brain structures, the interpretation of the semantic terms, building the knowledge of the brain based on the statistical investigation of the structures, and so on. And I have to say, he did it in a very well and structured way. So, and the result of his project was prototype of something which we called intelligent microscope, which now allows even some non-experienced people to control the microscope, get the images, and get even some deep internal knowledge about the brain samples which they can put in. So maybe that project was a relatively small one on the way to build the intelligent, knowing everything electron microscopy, but it was definitely quite significant step in our company towards building the systems which can help the users and can communicate in a more natural way. In that way, I would like to thank you for all the good work which you did. Congratulate you with the finalizing your study, and best wishes for your new assignments.
Thank you.
Show you.
Next, Mr. Pericles Kirtis will be addressed by Mr. Montemayor.
Montemayor. Okay. I would like to take a little bit of time to, since it's probably the first time that Valeo is written and shown in the university, so just to give a bit of context so that I can really highlight what Pericles did for us in Valeo. Valeo is an automotive supplier. We have more than 110,000 employees all over the world. And in Bietigheim-Bissingen, next to Stuttgart, we have an R&D center for advanced driving assistance systems, where we make market-leading sensors such as laser scanner, radars, ultrasonics, and in the case of where Pericles joined us, in front camera department, where I also work. The main thing in developing our front camera is, as we need to do it for every OEM that we work for, is that we have to develop different tool chains. And the tool chains need to help us validate all across our V-cycle. So starting from software-in-the-loop tools that need to simulate what our camera sees in the road and allows us to validate what our software implementation has, all the way to recording tools that we need to install on cars and use to drive around the world and collect hundreds of thousands of kilometers of data, as well as then hardware-in-the-loop tools that allows us to replay what we have already recorded and use it to either debug, investigate, or confirm whether we have fixed the problems that we have faced. And also replay tools that we can really use, that we can test and work as fast as possible, since the automotive industry doesn't wait. Usually the timelines get shorter, the demands get higher, and it creates a lot of problems. These tools need to be compatible with one another. They need to be robust to work on the harshest conditions, but they also need to be flexible enough that we can adapt them to our different customer, to the different needs that we have. And this is where it gets very difficult. Still, in our front camera department, and because of the increasing business we have had in the last few years, we were forced to develop tools in parallel. we didn't have enough time to develop, let's say, single solution for our validation tools because we had projects running at the same time. We had conflicting requirements, and we just had to, at the time, just divide our teams and develop the tools in parallel and just live with that. Of course, at the time, this worked because we could keep our projects running, but in the long-term solution, we cannot keep doing that. Otherwise, we just keep reinventing the wheel every time we have a new project, and of course, that's not sustainable. So that was a big problem we were facing, but okay, in the case of Pericles, it created an opportunity for him. So the question which Pericles had to answer was very simply stated. So what should be the tool we use? What should be the solution we can use that can be flexible enough for us to implement it, that we can still play with it and adapt it for the conflicting requirements we sometimes get for different car makers, and that we can use it on our newer projects, and also that we can keep using it and evolve it to the future. As I said, it's easier said, just tell us what is the best, but to answer it, it was not simple. Pericles, or Peri, he had to show, and he did, extraordinary communication, listening, and analytical skills, because he had to gather a lot of information which we have in our teams, which are spread. We have teams spread over 5 different countries, 3 different continents. People from different backgrounds, people from different cultures, which is, it takes a lot of skill to be able to gather the right information, to not antagonize people, and you need to take into account that these are people that are currently working on production projects, so it's not that they are just waiting for the phone to ring. You need to persuade them, you need to talk to them, you have to insist, you have to get the information out of it. Even myself, I have a hard time doing that. But he managed to do this. He managed to collect information from all our toolchains, which is something that nobody before in Valeo managed to do. And not only he did that, but then he did the requirements analysis for what the toolchains should do. And also using, let's say, the best practices and the best lessons learned we've had, he came up with an architecture proposal for how our toolchain should look like. This architecture proposal is now, let's say, to be piloted in one of our newer development projects, which for me, I think it's the most important. I think the biggest value that you can have as being a PDEng graduate is to know that what you build in your final project is actually going to be used. You know, that is not just going to be taken, put in a drawer, and, you know, maybe someday we might look at it again. But actually, for me, one of the requirements when getting Peri and getting Grace is that what they make, it should be something we can use. Otherwise, what's the point? So I'm very happy to hear that from his learnings, we are actually putting them in use in our production projects. That means they are going to impact our customers and what we do on a day-to-day work, which I think it's the most valuable part. Also, to mention one of the last achievements he also made for our hardware in the loop system, the user interface and the pipes library implementation, which is also going to be part of this pilot project, which we will have, which I think it's quite good. Of course, there's still a lot of work to be done, and the work will continue. So I think that explains a bit how complex the challenges that Pericles had to face were. But those were not the only challenges. So there were, let's call it, logistic challenges. So even before he started, it took us a bit longer than planned to set up a working contract between Valeo, being a German company, and the university. Pericles joined somewhere at the end of January, where he could finally be in our office in Wittenheim. Then, of course, we had to sit you down in our team leader's office because we were in the middle of a layout change, so office space was very limited, which is a constant problem in Germany, I will say. But he was sitting with 2 very experienced guys, were system teams lead and software team lead, so I hope you managed to learn a few things from them. I have learned myself a lot from them. And lastly, I want to apologize that some of our colleagues in Czech Republic confused your email, and they were calling you TUE for quite some time. Because in the email addresses in Valeo, usually the first part you find on the email address is the first name. But for Pericles and Grace, the first part was TUE, then dot the name, and then dot the last name. And they didn't know that, and I think you were too polite to correct them at the beginning. Yeah, sorry about that. But I want to thank you for your time, for your patience, and your hard work. And I can say that in front camera, we were very happy to have you with us. Please keep developing your communication, your analytical, and your programming skills, and I have no doubt that you will succeed in any business, whether that is in Valeo, which we will see in the next weeks, or somewhere else.
Next, Guido Lupias will be addressed by Dr. Nicolai.
Hi, Guido. It's really a pleasure for me to stand here, and I think you have also a pleasure that I'm here, because when we interviewed Guido, I was not there. Because I was on a business trip in, actually, I think in Princeton, and you were not scared. I think I got the global director of research to interview together with one of my team members, and you came. And as you can see out of the title, which sounded maybe a little bit boring, a type system for a technical computing language, I might explain a little bit in which environment Guido was working. So we are working on the next things we are a tool provider, and we are working for engineering tools, and we are looking at 3 to 10 years. So, and we are not doing that alone in Leuven. So in Leuven we are maybe 10 people. We are doing that with our colleagues in Princeton, in Munich. We have also some connections to London. So, and that was a constant challenge, because this project is meant to be, you're designing something, you're creating an architecture, and then you are developing it. And I think one of the biggest challenges you had were, there were 20 people or so constantly developing, researchers, the code forward, and Guido needed to fix somehow the type system that it works. And you managed that, and I'm really, really happy about that. Also, the process of the PDEng program was interesting, because for my group it was the first time that we did that. And you insisted also on the process, and that's good, because we learned also something. And also, like the last speaker said, it's an international environment, and you try to get requirements, and you conducted a user study. So you had to organize, I don't know, 20 to 30 interviews all over the world, which is also not so easy to convince them, but you managed. So, and we got a lot of insight, which we were not actually expecting. We thought, okay, its type system should be easy, it's solved. I learned that it's not solved. That's also good. We will hopefully work further on that. So I'm thanking you a lot of that. Everyone had some private story. I'm trying to remember some private stories, but maybe I will not tell any private story here. It's not necessary. That's that's good. But maybe a more professional story. What I really liked, that you were not only focused on your task, which is obviously where you get your marks from, but you also went up to the other people, to the students which we have, and helped them, and it was really, really positive. We offered you a position, but you wanted to go back to Eindhoven, unfortunately. But Leuven is close, so if you ever want to come back, we have chocolate, we have beer, and we have fries. So then please be welcome. So thanks a lot.
Next, Janislav Minchev will be addressed by Dr. Stanic.
Thank you, Janislav. Hi all. So the first TwinScan software has been implemented around the beginning of this century, and since then it has been often required to deliver new functionalities as well as the fixes on the existing code base while maintaining the compatibility with the systems that are already in the field. And one example of this is a component that contains vertical stage alignment, which is the core of the overall system design. So, and during those years, the functionality has been extended. But as you know, the primary concern was the time to market, and obviously it has results in the accumulation of the substantial technical debt, and over the time the the level of the technical debt reaches the point where adding new functionality becomes untenable. But from the other side, we had the roadmap of the TwinScan requires adding new functionality for the vertical stage alignment. And we decided to create the new component where we will just add the most recent version of the vertical stage alignment functionality. And that's the reason why this project is created and why we met Janislav. And to make your life even more difficult, we had additional requirement that the new implementation should be consistent with the new methodology reference architecture adopted by SML, which is founded on the separation of concerns between data control and algorithm, also known as DCA architecture. So when you arrive to our company, you manage to grasp fast concepts such as DCA architectural patterns, model-driven engineering approaches, and tooling being deployed. And also you had to gain the physics and maths domain knowledge that was underlying the new design. But there was a lot of things to learn in the short period, but you did it quickly, so you managed successfully to create a foundation for one of our sensors to execute vertical measurements by implementing a number of algorithms. In particular, one of the major improvements over the existing functionality is the algorithm that determines the presence of the water droplets on the measure plates. And you did really nice. On top of that, you managed to prepare everything for integration of the developed algorithms to the new software, to the TwinScan software by determining the segments of the domain data model that is used by algorithms. So you did a really nice job, and your work will be used as a baseline for implementation of vertical stage alignment for the future TwinScan platforms. So I consider that this collaboration is very, very fruitful for our side, and I thank you a lot for your work, and I congratulate you.
Next, Dimitri Kinkashkin will be addressed by Engineer Schindler.
So first, a little bit about Dimitri's project. So the idea of the name of the project is the Embedded Software Modeling Environment, is to show that our models at the embedded software department can be interfaced with, in our highly multidisciplinary design environment, with the other disciplines such as mechanics, electronics, physics and chemistry. And I think that Dimitri, by putting a number of convincing demonstrators, has shown that this is not only possible, but actually quite doable. Now for you personally, Dima, the first time when we had your application interview, I already saw that I came to the conclusions that you are quite inquisitive and that you know what you want. And you can understand many complex concepts from different domains, and you can integrate them, and you can solve a lot of technical problems quickly. Even when you have non-technical challenges, such as a very serious illness or getting your first baby, which is really very nice and splendid, but quite demanding, of course. An interesting property of you is that you are not only reliable, showing actually in each progress meeting, making clear agreements, keeping to them, but that you can actually keep your supervisors also to your agreements. Sometimes you're a bit over-enthusiastic. One example would be where you actually sent an email to all the supervisors saying, well, you have to attend, you must attend this and that event. Whereupon one of the supervisors immediately answered, my dear Dimitri, I hope you actually mean you are invited to attend this event. You also demonstrated that you are a really good tester, because you were able to crash the JetBrains IDE, the JetBrains MPS IDE, during your final demo of all the times. And you very surprisingly exclaimed that, that's interesting, I have tested it this morning and it worked. And by the way, in all the 10 months that I've worked on this IDE, this never happened. But all the jokes aside, I can speak for all the supervisors that we can say we really liked working together with you on this project, where you delivered some really useful results that we will take up with the OC embedded departments and carry them on. Also, I think you really made huge steps in your personal development, in your professional development, where you came to an attitude of I am completely in control of my project, mostly. Luckily, we will be seeing each other more, especially during the OT lunches, as you will now start working for OC. Unfortunately for us, you like cloud and web kind of things more, so the system software colleagues have snatched you away from us, but I will know where to find you. So, Dima, thank you very much for your big contribution, and I wish you a lot of success with your new job, where you will be carrying your new, well-earned title of PDEng.
Next will Mr. Nityanat Panpalia be addressed by Engineer Janssen.
Nitya, you came to us to work on calibrations, and that doesn't say much for most people, but one of the big problems that we have is legacy software, and we want to move from something that's taking most of my time to something that's new that will automatically be tested. So you started working on our demonstrator to show that we can move gradually without disturbing our customers from an old user interface, implementing new software, and you made a nice demonstration. Everybody thought, oh, finally something new is going to happen, and we have a guy working on it instead of only solving the problems that we have. Well, that was a nice first step to start learning what the context is about, and yeah, you picked up the different tools you needed to start the next part, and that's looking at the actual algorithms that you want to move to a new architecture. And yeah, the problem is that we have a new framework that is completely different than the old algorithms, and we wanted to keep the same functionality. So you dive into that and you try to discover the special details that were involved with moving from something unstructured to something that's software architecture. So we did a nice number of whiteboard sessions, involved the surrounding teams around us, and I think he came up with a brilliant new starting point that will be used in different applications, actually, not only where we started from. And yeah, you did it in an iterative way, and we were very happy that you tried to do it in a test-driven design approach, because we believe that this would be the new way for us to start working on stuff. And yeah, you showed that it is really possible, and you could even manage the changes that were made underneath you and keep proving that the things you designed were still working, although you had to refactor the stuff. Well, actually, in the end, we got a nice demo of your algorithm that you already implemented, and we believe that this is a nice starting point. And we enjoyed working with you in the team, and I think that is what we also try to do, is always see that everybody feels on his place, and you really were showing that you are proactive, approaching people when you needed knowledge, working together and contributing to the team, so we really appreciate that. And yeah, in the end, I want to thank you for the work you did and welcome you to our team when you start in November. And we are happy to continue the work that you have, because it's pretty valuable for us. And yeah, thank you.
Next, Mrs. Carmina Pereira Azevedo will be addressed by Engineer Jans.
So in the next few minutes, we will learn that First impressions are not reliable results for expectations. Daring to dream is the key to success. In risk management, the most obvious risks are often forgotten. The water is not always as fresh as it seems. And oh yeah, there's also some story on a crappy car. Carmina, you were the first candidate that I interviewed for the data quality project at UC. We met each other in the reception hall, and you took already then good care to be well prepared to make a good first impression. You know, you look good, you dressed well, you radiate an atmosphere of being well organized and serious. And in the interview, you showed ambition. You gave already some first smart reasoning, and you mentioned that you were interested in data science. So early this year, my colleague Tim and I joined you in your journey at UC with really high expectations, that you, being so organized and ambitious and smart, would solve all our problems with the data quality. Well, we should have known better, because there you came in your Portuguese car that was a bit less well prepared than you. In fact, Carlos was afraid to carpool with you because of a broken front window. And Solorida could not travel with you because of a broken safety belt, I think. And at some occasion at work, I remember that your car was broken again and you went searching with some colleagues for some tools to fix it. Now, looking back at the start of the project, I remember that you created this really huge list of risks. And I wonder, when I look back now, why you forgot to put your car on that list. As I said already, in risk management, the most obvious risks are often forgotten. You fitted very well in the team, and you joined us in some team activities. And I admired you really for your guts when you chose a machine learning approach for your project because of the really uncertain outcome. Every possibility begins with the courage to dream. And you took us with you in following that dream and made us part of your plan. And now, instead of getting a solution from you, we end up in learning a lot about machine learning and having even more work than we had before because of the many follow-up questions. Indeed, first impressions are not reliable indicators of results. But the funny thing is that this way we actually got much more from you than we expected. And we are happy with the results, and your dream has become ours too. You showed us that daring to dream is the key to success. In the next phase of your life, you pictured that you wanted to live in a city close to the water. And we tried to show you how Eindhoven and Venlo fit quite well in that picture, but you favored Rotterdam. I find that difficult to understand. You know, Venlo and Rotterdam are both at the river, but the water in Rotterdam is not as fresh as it seems, as it actually flows from Venlo towards the sea. Maybe Rotterdam looks more like Lisbon, and it feels as a compromise towards your family, who I'm sure would have loved to have you back in Portugal, as you shared with me that they shared some local job offers with you. Carmina, this must be a very proud moment for you, and it also is for me. Chasing a dream requires your efforts and passion, and the hard work is now not over when you graduated. It is just a break as you enter the next step of your career. And you will have a slightly extended break with your family in Portugal until January, and then continue your career in Rotterdam. Good luck and congratulations, and I hope to see you again in some future.
Next, Mr. Saurabh Raikanirkar will be addressed by Mrs. Karkanis.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, congratulations to all PDEng, and double congratulations to Saurabh because he is having his birthday today. So happy birthday. So instead of reciting your birthday song for you, I'm going to read a 4-minute graduation speech with some amazing gifts over here. So you've been working on designing the CITS architecture and services for North Brabant. So let me give you a little bit context of this project. We all know that year by year, vehicles on the roads increasing significantly. In fact, in Netherlands itself only, there are more cyclists than the vehicle drivers. Now, with all these vehicles, cyclists, pedestrians, etc., significant accidents and failures are also increasing. So with all these challenges laying ahead of us, how we can create a smart city by improving road safety, traffic efficiency, comfort of driving, by helping the driver to navigate properly with the right decisions, etc. And with all this, TUe has taken an initiative through C-Mobile project to address these concerns. It's a large-scale demonstration project involving 37 partners, including TUe as one of it, spanning from 2017 to 2020. Among this, North Brabant is one of the region which is currently looking into safety-related concerns for cyclists, pedestrians, seamless traffic, etc., for which you were assigned to design the system-level architecture and demonstrating one of the safety service. When you became a part of the project was at a really high time bound with strict deadlines. Hence, time was a luxury you couldn't afford. The challenge had just begun for you, but you were quite impressive in grasping and learning the CITS domain very quickly. You managed to handle not only the technical aspect of the project, but also exhibited and excelled in other skills such as communicating with architects every week, involved in the brainstorming sessions with other experts of the project, with stakeholders, and of course working independently, etc. Your contributions to this project were quite significant. First, the system-level architecture results were already published by European Union. Second, demonstration on one of the safety service at the Helmond pilot site. And as you are aware, these results are already considered and will be extended further to improvise the CITS safety in North Brabant and other European cities, regions. Third, your involvement in project meetings across different countries and in Europe, because of course we were having a lot of meetings across all the cities. And especially for the ITS World Congress 2018 in Copenhagen, I remember during this event you were supposed to be fully focused on writing your report, but still you willingly agreed to be available for this event, and you maintain your high energy level during this demonstration. I really appreciate it, and keep up that zinc in future also. Last but not the least, I'm really glad that you were one of the part of the author for CITS reference architecture, along with me and Professor Mark van den Brand, which was been published by IEEE in 2018. And I will conclude here by saying that your presence will be definitely missed by not just me, but the other team folks of the project as well. I believe you learned some lessons and gained certain experience which will help you to excel in your career. I thank you for being the part of this project journey and wish you good luck for your future endeavors. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Puya Samadika will be addressed by Mr. Gorgan.
Yeah, thank you. Poya. In the last months, Poya was working in the systems departments of Home System Signify. This team is responsible to de-risk, prepare, and design, together with the development teams, features and functionality for our TUe system. And one of the important aspects of the success of the TUe system is our open API. And that is used by partners and third-party developers to create new functionality and cool new features for our TUe system. Together with us, with that, our users can have voice assistant support for the lights, We have integrations with other home automation system, IoT systems, and we have hundreds of developers creating cool new applications for our system. For example, you can, if you only use system next week is Halloween, so you can use one of these apps to scare your family at home by setting scary light effects. It's a great API, but it has unfortunately a few shortcomings. And one hand, it's the usability. It's not so easy to integrate for our partners. It's also creating costs on our sites unnecessarily, and also the user experience for some of the use cases we want to offer are not ideal. And a solution for that is eventing in the use system, and that's a topic we wanted to start working on in the end of this year and release next year. And Poya turned up and accepted that challenge to look at that, prepare this feature for us, and he came really well prepared in the interview, already showing us the kind of technical options we have, what kind of routes we need to take. And this preparation was actually really necessary because as life goes, priority changes. We are in a very agile business, and that turned out that that project was actually one of the most important development projects this year. That we have to release something much, much earlier, which turns the project into a large project with a large team, with internal and external stakeholders, with quite conflicting requirements, and short and tight deadlines. And but it's always great to see if what you've done is coming to life. And we already put the first steps of the improvements live in the field. We already released it a month ago. And you, Poya, did a great job in helping us preparing that, and your contribution was very, very important to get the right choices in place. But even with that madness of that big development project, you still managed to get your own little part of it, your own little piece of the puzzle, which is for us preparing the next steps, what is coming next on after we've made these first releases. And thanks, Poya, for your contribution. Wish you all success in your coming career. And congratulations.
Next, Mrs. Grace Vazou will be addressed by Engineer Holster.
Hello, my name is Bernd Holste. I also work for Valeo in Bietigheim-Bissingen in the south of Germany. Like my colleague Hector, he already said something about Valeo. The front camera project we are working on at Valeo provides different functionalities like lane detection, traffic sign recognition, light assistance, and pedestrian detection. Since some of these functionalities are really safety relevant, we have to make sure that they will work very, very reliable during the whole lifetime. To ensure this, a lot of testing has to be done before the camera finally is built into the car. One of these tests is a test regarding electromagnetic compatibility, EMC. In particular, it's a test respective the immunity to other radio signals. We have to make sure that no external source of radio frequencies, like for example, cell phones, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, will disturb the work of the camera system. The need for a stable and reliable setup for an automated EMC test has finally led to the task that we have given to Grace, namely to develop a robust software system for EMC testing that also should be able to be used for future projects without making extensive changes. Just like my colleague said before, everything comes again, and sometimes the work has made 2 times or 3 times. This should have been avoided with the help of Grace. And Grace has reached that goal and has designed and built a new system for us that we now can use for EMC testing of our front camera systems. She was able to demonstrate and verify her results in an EMC test setup that we have created for her and is very similar to the one that is used in our EMC lab. In addition, she also has created a guideline for us that describes what has to be changed in order to adapt the system to the needs of a new customer project. So we don't have to invent the wheel again and again. I'm very happy now that I'm able to be here today in the city of Eindhoven and to hand this diploma to Grace Vasu. Congratulations to you, Grace, and also congratulations to all the other graduates. I hope all of you will use your acquired skills for building new technologies that will make life better for all of us. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Yongchang Wang will be addressed by Dr. Dams.
Yongchao. Oh, now I can read it, yeah. Well, that's the best you can have, right? Since the beginning of the year, you've worked at PDEng, which is now part of Thermo Fisher Scientific. And it makes transmission electron microscopes that can produce amazing pictures of very small details, all the way down to individual atoms. Not surprisingly, such a complicated device is controlled by a lot of software. And the software itself is equally complicated. To keep it in good shape, it needs to get quite a bit of attention. Let's think of the software as if it were a person, called TEM, for Transmission Electron Microscope. For about 10 months, you helped to care for TEM. Your supervisor, Pepijn Kramer, had lived in the same house as TEM for about 70 years. He told you a lot of the things that he knew about TEM. And for your first assignment, you had to get to know TEM yourself. Unfortunately, sometime in April, Pepijn had to leave the house for a while, and I was asked to supervise you while he would be absent. Now, I wasn't exactly close to TEM. I was more like a person that lives a few blocks away down the street, and I surely didn't know this TEM guy as well as Pepijn did. Meanwhile, you had started a second assignment for which Pepijn had asked you to do a comparison of therapies that might help TEM. You conducted some research into promising medications, and based on your findings, you chose one medicine and tried it out. TEM responded well, but the medicine didn't completely cure him. For a while, you considered actually altering the composition of the medicine itself in order to customize it to TEM's particular situation. But I was concerned that that would take too much time, so I tried and managed to talk you out of it. Instead, I suggested a third assignment. And the suggested approach was to take pictures of TEM, showing what he actually looks like, and to put those pictures alongside sketches of what we wanted him to look instead. Now, that might actually be go quite a bit too far if we were talking about a real person, but luckily TEM is a piece of software. However, the results of this picture comparison were still quite confronting. And actually, the good thing is that they show more precisely which direction to take in setting up our next improvement program for TEM. So we're going to start our next project based on the results of what you have achieved. Yongchao, I think you agree with me if I say that it hasn't been easy working in such a dynamic environment on a number of quite open-ended assignments. And even if you got advice, so-called wise words, it could still be tough. For example, how on earth do you start to change yourself when you're being told to be more confident? Now, yet you demonstrated that you are able to expand your comfort zone and to learn. So let me end with some more wise words that summarize nicely what you have started doing. A ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. And I wish you all your best in your travels And congratulations.
And finally, Mr. Berigen Vekade Imam will be addressed by Mr. EU Mas.
Hello, everyone. I know that you are waiting for the reception. I will keep it short, don't worry. Berigen, but I will refer you with your Dutch name, Barry. In past 10 months, you work on creating a domain-specific language for the check exchange sequence. It's in the heart of our machines. And your task was to develop and actually enhance an existing tool to support a code generation and also support timing analysis and also validation using this timing analysis. And thanks to your work, now we are able to automate this design process, and also we are able to validate all the different possible check exchange sequences, which are more than 130, and validate them during design time. So thanks for that. During the project, you had to learn many things. So first, you had to learn the existing framework because it was completely new for you. It was an in-house project. And you also had to learn the domain itself. So it was a big C. But also, you had to learn product line engineering concepts. So there were many things to learn, and also there were many stakeholders to talk to. But you managed it very well. But after your defense, you confessed that you worked during nights at first to digest all this new information. Actually, Janja warned me that you tend to work very hard and also overtime, and I promised her to keep an eye on it, but I still missed it. But I think this habit of overtime is coming from your the days you lived in Seoul, in Korea. But I'm sure that now you will continue your career in the Netherlands, you will quickly learn that the Dutch way of adapting work and life balance. I remember one day you came to office with a swollen eyelid. We talked about, okay, what could be the reason of it? So it could be pollens or it could be due to the summer, but we didn't know. And you went to the doctor, you asked the doctor, and the doctor didn't know. And the doctor asked his Google assistant. Google didn't know either. But at the end, the swelling went away after a couple of weeks. But it came back just before your graduation and defense presentation. But by then, we learned that it was due to your stress level. So my advice to you is to pay an attention to the amount of work you put on your shoulders, and also listen to your body signals, so take it easy. And I remember the first day I interviewed you. So Barry is a guy, always smiles. So no matter what I tell you, no matter what happens, you always keep smiling. And keep this spirit up during your professional career. And also everyone in the team from the day one, and they liked you. So you were well integrated. And also during your presentation, final presentation, a meeting room full of people confirmed this. So you will continue your career in ASML, and I feel lucky to keep working with you. Congratulations, and I wish you the best of luck during your journey.
We are almost at the end of the ceremony, and drinks are waiting for us. But first, dear graduates, first of all, congratulations with your graduation. From now onwards, you may use the degree Professional Doctorate in Engineering or PDEng. Next, I would like to thank all speakers for addressing you and also congratulating you on your degree. The scientific degree of PDEng involves duties as well as rights. As a holder of this degree, you are committed to standards of scientific integrity, trustworthiness, intellectual honesty, openness, and independence. These standards are described in more detail in the Netherlands Code of Conduct for Academic Practice and in the Eindhoven Code derived from it. You also have duties towards society. You must be clear about the boundaries of your own expertise, and you must communicate honestly and independently about the results of your work, including potential risks associated with it. You are committed to the ethical codes for research and design involving human subjects or animals. We wish you all the best and a promising career in industry. High-tech companies, especially in this region, are in great need of technological designers with the skills you have acquired over the last 2 years. Hence, opportunities that lay ahead will be endless. To conclude this ceremony, here are a few directions for the closure of this ceremony. First of all speakers and graduates will leave the Blauwe Zaal at that side of the auditorium to have their picture taken. Once graduates and speakers have left the Blauwe Zaal, you may exit the Blauwe Zaal at the Voorhof side, which is that side, where drinks are being served. We will join you as soon as possible when the picture is taken, and then speakers will have the opportunity to congratulate the graduates at the reception in the Voorhof. I hereby close the meeting.